Namaste and welcome to my second video. My name is Elina and today it's about two brothers who would literally kill for their brotherhood. And not just someone but their own parents. They truly were partner in crime. So I wanted you guys to tell about the Menendez brothers. The first time I heard about them was like a few years back, and the reasoning behind their parents' murder on that courtroom interview and the shocking twist that came out on their trial had me shooketh, and it had never left me ever since. So I'm sure you guys have heard about them. Even if you haven't, or if you have and want to know someone else's POV, then also let's dive right in. A seemingly happy couple, Jose and Kitty Menendez, got married in 1963 and moved to United States, and had two sons. The first one, Joseph Lyle Menéndez, was born on January 10, 1968, and after a couple of years, the second son, Erik Menéndez, was born on today's date, November 27, but on the year 1970 in Gloucester Township, New Jersey. After her firstborn, Kitty had left her teaching job and they moved to Gloucester Township and then to Hopewell Township in Mercer County, where the two boys attended Princeton Day School. But Jose's position as a corporate executive took the family to Beverly Hills, California, where Erik began attending high school at Beverly Hills High, where his grades were average, but he was a remarkable tennis player. Everything was going normal, or so it seemed. But on the night of August 20, 1989, after the boys, Menendez brother Erik and Lyle, returned after watching a movie and attending an annual festival, Lyle hysterically called 911 to let them know about the double homicide and shouted, "Somebody killed my parents," as the Menendez parents were found brutally murdered in the den of their house. The first responding officers arriving at the crime scene did not order the Menendez brothers to undergo the gunpowder residue test to find out whether or not they recently used a firearm, because nobody suspected of them getting involved at the time. The officers found several shots fired on the victims. Their brain and bodily matters were scattered all around on the floor and on the ceiling, but mainly the shot in the back of Jose's head had killed him, and the shot on Kitty's left cheek had destroyed her face and left it beyond recognition. Other shots that were fired were on their arms, legs, knees. All in all, the massacre was definitely a overkill. No forcible entry was detected, so it had to be done by someone who knew the house. Although due to the type of the shotgun wounds found on the bodies, the police investigated potential mob leads as well, but that led to nothing. Nothing came out of it. In the month after the murders, the police tried to narrow their search down to the people who had motives to kill Jose and Kitty, and the fact that the Menendez brothers had set off on a lavish spending spree while their parents were just buried couldn't go unnoticed, buying Rolex watches, Porsche, cafe, a restaurant, and also Erik hiring full-time coach and moving to Israel time and again. Although relatives argued that the spending habit of the Menendez brothers were no different even before the killings, but the police believed that the Menendez brothers were the perpetrators since they had obvious financial motives. So the police zeroed on them and they were arrested. After they got arrested during the long investigation that took place, as it turned out, Erik, with one of his close tennis buddy Craig, had actually written a 66 long page screenplay about a perfect crime some time ago, where the slaying of the main character's wealthy parents was one of the primary scenes, and those screenplay pages were actually typed out by Erik's mother, Kitty Menendez, before, when she was still alive. This incident might as well be a coincidence rather than a catalyst, but the Beverly Hills police nevertheless obtained it as a piece of evidence, so you never know. So the trial begins separately, but both the juries deadlocked which resulted in a mistrial. Then they were tried together by a single jury. But during the trial, the brothers stated that they killed their parents in self-defense. But self-defense against what? Then they stated that their father would have killed them if they hadn't killed him first. But why? And then comes the vein-popping moment when the brothers reveal the sexual, emotional, and mental abuse that they had to endure in the hands of their father all those years. You've got to watch the courtroom interview, guys. I was shell-shocked. It was a very just baat badal diye kind of mind-boggling scene in the courtroom. All the drama came out about how Jose was a pedophile and always groomed and eventually started molesting his own children early on, so the physical abuse was there and their kind of hatred for their father also. And then them being afraid of their father because their father would have killed them after the boys somehow threatened him to expose about it all. That I can get, but why kill their mom? Maybe she was in a battering relationship and she wasn't strong enough to voice her thoughts out, but she should have maybe at least tried to her kids, her own kids. Seriously, no idea what went wrong, but it's actually sad to see, one family crumble to pieces just because the dad couldn't keep it in his pants. But the Menendez brothers had mentioned that both their parents would often bring up their not so good grades, Lyle's premature balding, the mother locking Erik in the closet all the that he even had to hold his pee for so long when he was just merely adolescent or something, and also Kitty's alcoholism, temper tantrums, Jose's and Kitty's high expectations towards the boys. So maybe they resented both of their parents somehow and lost it finally that August evening when they thought Jose was gonna kill them. So the self-defense that the boys actually had claimed was called the imperfect self-defense permitted by California law, meaning that the brothers were honestly afraid for their lives even though the fear was not rational because of the fact that Jose and Kitty might as well have been asleep at the time of the killings when they went in the den carrying shotguns. The premeditated murder thing was also brought up as the Menendez brothers had, brought the shotguns beforehand, but they admitted to have done it for their own protection. Since their parents already owned guns, just so you know, I'm not taking sides, but just stating the facts that I got. So, although at the first trial the jury were in favor of them, but after the mistrial took place, single jury handled the case. The Menendez brothers were convicted in 1996 for the murders of their parents and were sentenced to life imprisonment without the possibility of parole. The title question still remains debatable, although their parents definitely gave them best of foods and house to live in. But they were of course emotionally unavailable oftentimes, which isn't a reason to kill anyone. In fact, not of course, who actually brought you into this world, but the physical abuse obviously stands out. No child should go through it. I mean, the one place that you're supposed to feel safe. In fact, I think the jury had some kind of sympathy for the Menendez brothers since they got life imprisonment without parole instead of death sentence. So, on July 2, 1996, Lyle married Anna Erickson at a ceremony attended by Leslie Abramson and his aunt Marta Menendez, but they divorced on April 1, 2001 after Erickson discovered that Lyle was allegedly cheating on her with another woman. So on November 2003, Lyle married Rebecca Sneed, while on June 12, 1999, Erik married Tammy Roth at Folsom State Prison. Some happy family time for them. And by the way, after nearly 22 years apart on April 4, 2018, the two brothers reunited on R.J. Donovan Correctional Facility where they burst into tears and hugged each other as they were housed in the same unit. That's that for now. See you in my next video.